Bansi Vibhushitakaran Navanirdabhat Pitambara Darunavimvaphala Tarustha Purnendu Sundara Mukhat Arvinda Netrat Krishnat Param Kimapi Tattvamaham न जाने अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री Gurave Namah. Divine souls, Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gurudev. You all know that since last couple of weeks, we have been contemplating upon the chapter 12, verse 1. We call it mantra 1. Instead of verse, we call it mantra. Maharaj has told us that each sloka of Bhagavad Gita is mantra. Manaha trayati iti mantra. Each one, each mantra is developing yourself, bringing yourself from the one individual to the Brahma, which is the Supreme Being. Let us call the verses as mantra. The first mantra, as you all know, every day, several times in a day, you recite. This was the inquiry from Arjuna, and he's asking this question. He wants clarification from Bhagavan about yevam satata yuktaye bhaktastvam parupasate ye chapyakshara mavyaktam tesham ke yoga vittama. Who are the best knower of yoga, Bhagavan? The one who is steadily devoted to you, meditate on you, and the other group who are meditating on the imperishable, unmanifest Brahma. Now, as we know, the first word here is evam. That means thus. We have discussed about that. This refers to the last few verses of chapter 11, and we have gone through that. But then another word comes in, which is satata yukta. What do you understand by that? You see, what happens when we recite chapter, we know the meaning, but how to bring that meaning into practice, how to use the message which we learn, which we receive from Bhagavad Gita into practice. Now, when somebody tells you, do this every time, now what do you understand by that? Does it mean that you keep on doing, there is no gap between the one action and the other? Are you going to do it incessantly? Like the flow of river, there is kal, it goes on all the time. It also called tail dharavat, like the pouring of oil from one container to another. It keeps on continuous without break. You also do abhishekam to Lord with milk and honey and water. These are the practical ways of doing action for certain purposes, where for a certain period of time, you have to continually doing that action. Now, this is technically almost impossible, that you will keep on doing all the time that action. It stops somewhere. So just to say that satata yukta, that means all the time doing, what it means. Even if you try to repeat the name of Bhagavan, and there are people and there are who keep on repeating all the time, even though not loudly, but within mind, they keep on repeating. And these people do it. There are people who do rosary, and through rosary, they keep count of things, how many times you have, how many mala you have done in a day. So, or japa, if you have done, how much you have. Is it continuous all the time going, or is there a stop? The meaning of this satata yukta is not physically doing something continuously, which is rather technically rather impossible, but to tune your mind in such a way, the tuning of mind is such that there is no gap when you have your mind fixed into some object. If your mind is so much involved, what is called मन उनमें समा गया है. जब मन वहां समा गया है, मन में और उस ऑब्जेक्ट में अंतर नहीं रह गया, when there is no difference into the activity of mind and mind, that tuning in, that is submerging into, समा गया जब मन उसमें, तो वो छूटता नहीं है. Even if you try to remove it, it doesn't break. Example is given of Narad Muni. Narayana, Narayana, he will have his Bina, and he will, even if he is not striking the Bina, Narayana, Narayana goes on continuously. That is the best example of what is called Satata Yukta. He had the boon of traveling to all the lokas. Any loka he will go, he will just wish. Moment he wished he want to go to Vishnu Lok, he goes to Vishnu Lok. So the moment he decides to go one place, he will go Bhulok, and all the loks he will keep on traveling. But he will never give up this Narayan, Narayan, and he is famous for that. The moment somebody listens somewhere, Narayan looks like that, Naradji is there. Meera, Dhruva, Prahlad, which didn't Prahlad all the time remember Bhagwan? And he knew that Bhagwan is everywhere, even in that stone wall, his Bhagwan is there. That kind of tuning the mind into submerging the mind into thought of Bhagwan, that is called Satata Yukta. And this has to be developed. It doesn't happen just by physically doing it, but over a period of time, as we keep on training our mind to concentrate on that Prabhu, that Narayan, that Bhagavan, then that imbibes mind gets submerged into it. So whatever comes out from there, the feeling of Bhagavan will always be persistent in that, and that has to be developed. How to develop that? There are methods which has been prescribed. One is that you should have supreme Shraddha. And as we keep on talking about, Shraddha is a combination of his love, his bhakti devotion, and faith. All three must be at the highest level. That is the Shraddha. Once you have Shraddha, it says, Upasana Shraddha Vishayam. So when you are doing Upasana, Shraddha must be in it all the time. When you have got Shraddha for that, if you have thought of Gurudev, immediately you have a feeling which gives you, puts you onto his feet. That kind of, when you develop Shraddha over and over and over again, then this kind of tuning of mind will come in. So that one is most important part. You should have full Shraddha into what you are doing. Then the other one is that you have to have attention on the Lord's marvel, that is his divine manifestations, his vibhuti, that you should see. अभी कपूर जी बात कर रहे थे कि हर जगह फूलों में और हर पौधों में, in birds and trees and everywhere you see जो माम पसते सर्वत्र सर्वम च मयि पसति, that if you can sarvam, you feel everything, if you have the feeling of Lord, the presence of Lord in everything, then you immediately you have the mind tuned to that object as Bhagavan. So that will Satata Yukta. When you are attached to the flower and you consider the flower to be the manifestation of Bhagavan, then immediately you have Shraddha, you have what Prem, you have what Vishwas, you feel that, you imbibe that within yourself. You, what we call it, tune mind into that. So remember, try to realize that everything is Siya Rama Maya Sab Jagmahi. That is Tulsidas says. Everywhere there is Jit Dekho Tit Syama Mayi hai. There are so many of these talks and poems and poetries that people have written that. Question is how much we imbibe within ourselves. So this is another method. If you have attention, you keep our attention focused on the objects and consider those objects to be Bhagavan, you will have the reverence for him and do it. Then the highest level is that you consider Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body. I am not this mind. I am this thoughts and brains. All those things belong to sansar. They don't belong to me. I am Brahma. I am that part of divinity which is pervading throughout the universe. His vibhuti everywhere. He is existing everywhere and he is existing in me also. So how can you separate yourself from Brahma? If you are Brahma Jivo Nasti, Naparo, they are the same. So if the same, you consider yourself that you are the Brahma, so your mind will be automatically tuned because already it is merged with Bhagavan within yourself. You consider yourself the divinity and your divinity within, not only within, you are divinity yourself. But that is very, very high level. Let us try to develop ourselves in such a way that we tune our mind to that station which is Bhagavan, which is the Brahma. Now, when we talk of Satata Yukta, let us take what is called Bhagavan talks about Bhaktas Tvam Paryupasate. Now, the word Paryupasate has got two meanings. One is you worship, puja karna. But that puja karna, you perform with all ritualistic things. Doing ritualistic thing, using your, आप फूल तोड़ते हैं, आप जल ले आते हैं, आप भगवान का आसन लगाते हैं, all those things are okay. They are also good thing. You paripasate, you assemble yourself those things around Bhagwan and try to do the puja in that way. But then the higher level is meditate on Bhagwan. You concentrate yourself on to the thoughts of Bhagwan and think that always in you. So in that case, the definition of this bhakta is a bhakta is one who forgets his individuality and surrenders to God. See, there is a big difference between Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Essential, fundamental difference is that a bhakta first surrender himself to the Lord, giving up his individuality, and then he goes on the path to meditate and be one with him. On the other hand, the karmi, he is using his body, mind, intellect. Jnani is using his thought, mind, intellect, and studying and revealing all those things, he has not dissociated himself from Bhagavan till then. So, the criteria of a bhakta, a true bhakta, that मेरा कुछ नहीं है, सब भगवान तेरा है. ये, that feeling that I am not moving, it is because of you I am moving. My limbs cannot work, my eyes cannot see, my ears cannot hear without your power. So, your presence of Bhagavan all the time and surrendering yourself on to him, that is the requirement of a bhakta, true bhakta. On the other hand, those who are karmi, or those who are in the karma yoga or in jnana yoga, they use their body and mind till such time he reaches that level that it is discarded, and then he gets more into the Bhagavan. So Sant Kabir puts his in own words, he says, Jahan jahan chalun karun parikrama, jo jo karun so seva, जब सोहूं करु दंडवत जानु देव न दूजा. Wherever I walk, it seems I am circumambulating and meditating on God. So even if he's walking, even he is carrying on his duties, he is considering परिक्रमा कर रहे हैं, भगवान की परिक्रमा कर रहे हैं और भगवान पर ध्यान मेरा लगा हुआ है. सो ध्यान और परिक्रमा बॉडी से कर रहे हैं, मन से ध्यान कर रहे हैं. दैट इज व्हेन आई हैव बीन इन्वॉल्वड इन द वर्ल्ड. When I work, I am serving God. When I sleep, it seems I am prostrating before him. In this way, I do not do any work that is not dedicated to God. This is the definition of a bhakta. A true bhakta, he surrenders himself. Whatever he performs for the sake of Lord. He performs for the sake of humanity. Now, coming to again that question of Arjuna, that he has talked about two groups of devotees. One who meditate on the manifest Sakara Brahma, that is Upasana on form. And as I mentioned last time, Adi Shankaracharya puts that Paramatma, when he talks of form, he puts that Paramatma, Bhagavan Ram, Bhagavan Krishna, Bhagavan Shiva, or Ma Devi, jo bhi, whatever Ishta Devata you have, you call that Paramatma. So the Upasana of form, that is Sakara Brahma, is Upasana or dedication to the Lord in the form. In this case, there is no issue at all. Everybody understands very clearly that here Arjuna is very clear. One group he has before him is those who are meditating on the Sakar form. But then the other one he talks about is Akshara Etvaksharma Nirdesa. Akshara, that means has imperishable. That is Adi Shankara calls Parabrahma. That Parabrahma, that is formless. So the Upasana of the formless. In formless, you have but two groups. That here the confusion may come. Is Arjuna talking of Nirgun Nirakara Brahma? Or is he talking about Saguna Nirakara Brahma? Because these criteria of Akshara fits in both Nirgun Nirakara Brahma and Sagun Nirakara Brahma. That means one is the supreme consciousness which is all over, and other is witness consciousness within you or within the universe, where you mam pasati sarvatra sarvam cha me pasati. That is witness consciousness, Jivatma, the spark of divinity, which is manifest in all the divine manifestations. So here there is maybe difference of opinion whether Arjuna is comparing one group of devotees who are upasaka of Paramatma in the form, or is he talking the other group where is he talking about the all pervading Param Brahm Paramatma supreme consciousness, or He is talking about Jivatma or witness consciousness and the manifestation of the Bhagwan all over the world. Let us go into these two parts. One is the Nirgundarakar Brahma. Why there is a problem? Why there is a this kind of issue which crops up when you talk of formless Akshara Brahma? Because it is very well known, Shastra, Upanishads, everything talks about this, that Nirgunjirakar Brahma is a subject. So you cannot have any way to meditate on that which is formless. Brahma cannot be the object of meditation. So if you have no object of meditation, how can you worship that? How can you meditate on that which is not an object? So the question of subject object thing comes in. Swami Chidbhavananda puts it also in his words. It is the pure consciousness that makes the man feel the objects. But this pure consciousness is not available for the mind to feel and know. So this our ability to comprehend is beyond our means, because our mind, even though it gets power from Brahma, it has no capability to be able to, or prameya, it has no power to think of Brahma. So if you can't think of Brahma, you can't meditate upon that, it is very, very difficult. But then what happens to Sagun Nirakar Brahma? That is available. Even Lord Krishna himself in talks Bhagavad Gita, he talks about Jivatma, and many places he has talked about Akshar Abhyakta. It is also Akshara and Abhyakta, and he has stated about Jivatma, you showed Kshetragyam chapi mam viddhi sarva kshetresu bharata. He has clearly mentioned that in all these everything in the universe, or Sarva Kshetresu Kshetragya, the knower of those Kshetra is me and me alone. So, Mam Vidhi, think that they are me alone. We have been stressing this point repeatedly, that you consider everything that exists in the world is Sarvatra, is he and alone. But that is the power of Brahma. That is the divine manifestation. That is not supreme divinity, supreme consciousness, which is a bit different from, not different, but which has its own level than the witness consciousness, which is limited to the beings and forms and things in the world and within you. So that is the supreme consciousness, Sagun Nirakara Brahma. So Ramanujacharya, in his description of this verse, clearly states that he has strong conviction, his strong proponent that maybe Arjuna is thinking about Saguna Nirakara Brahma and not Nirgun Nirakara Brahma. So this is a bit of a concern to be thought about, but this has been beautifully clarified by Adi Sankaracharya. And also, I will come to that, Madhusudan Saraswati. Adi Sankaracharya says, you see, you all know very well, Adi Sankaracharya is the greatest proponent of Advaita Vedanta. That means only one, but he is not so much for the form, but for the formless object. So what he says? He says, Murtam chaiva murtam deve va brahmano rupe ityupanishat tyur va devaya bhakto bhagavadu padishto kleshadve kleshada muktisha dertya madhye. Let us go to the meaning. The Supreme Lord is both with form and formless. Also, there are two types of seekers of the spiritual path. That is the thing to take into consideration. While Supreme Brahma is with form and formless, At the same time, there are seekers of the spiritual path who are also of two types. One worships the formless Brahma and other worships with form. It is extremely difficult to worship the formless. Again, this point comes in that to be able to concentrate, to be able to think on the Brahma, which is formless, is extremely difficult. And then clarification comes in from Madhusudan Saraswati, who is considered to be next to Adi Shankaracharya insofar the commentary is on Bhagavad Gita is concerned. He has a very high level of commentary there. And I'm quoting his words, which is mentioned in his book. He says, the omniscient Lord, seeing that Arjuna had eligibility for meditation on the qualified Brahma, that is Nirgun, Sagun Nirakar Brahma, will enjoin that for him. And also, it's a spiritual discipline having gradation according to person's competence. So he's bringing in two points that Bhagwan is seeing him that he is eligible to be able to pursue the path of Abhyakta, not that which is supreme consciousness, but that which is a level of Jivatma, that level of pervading the whole universe. That is the one which Arjuna is trying to make a differentiation from the one who is Sagun Sakar, and he is thinking of Sagun Nirakar. So there is a difference, not Nirgun Nirakar. So this is clarified. Therefore, the Lord first, he again is very clear. The Lord first praising the meditation on Brahma with form in order to induce Arjuna. He states the answer that previous is the best, which is given in the Bhagavan's reply. We'll come to that shortly. Let me clarify again. So Arjuna's question is, Ke Vittamah between the two? One is the one which is form, there is no problem at all. But then he's talking of formless. When you talk of formless, there are two. One is supreme consciousness, which is Nirgun Nirakar Brahma, and other is consciousness, but that is one which is divine manifestation in the Jivatma level, at the level of witness consciousness, not supreme consciousness. So we will see what Bhagavan gets his reply. One thing more I would like to say here. I am putting this verse because you see, you have all gone through this verse. You have finished chapter 6. If you recall, in chapter 6, the last verse, the 47th verse, what Lord is saying? He's saying, Yoginam api sarvesam madagate nantaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yuktatamo mata. Even in this verse, even this chapter 6, Bhagavan from his side, he says, Tapasyu diko yogi jnani bhyo matodika karmi vyascha diko yogi tasma yogi bhavarjuna. We have gone through that. He has said that yogi is superior to tapasvi, yogi is superior to jnani, yogi is superior to karmi. So these, he says, but you become yogi. But among the yogis, Madhgate Nantaratmana, one who has got full faith and whose inner self is merged in me, I consider him to be the highest. So, in this, same words are mentioned here. Sa me yukta tamo mataha, as we hear in this chapter 1, verse 1. Ke yoga vittama. So that is meaning the same thing. But here, because it is Bhagavan saying, probably Arjuna, maybe he missed it at that time. So the question, or if he heard clearly, understood, the question was lurking in his mind whether Bhagavan is talking about that bhakta who is completely submerged him and buzzed him, or is he talking about Nirgun Nirakar Brahma? That answer Arjuna Bhagwan gives in this verse 2, which I will take up next week. Thank you very much. Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Gurudev.